So Nithin, welcome to the Bharat Inclusion Summit. We are very excited to have you here. So as we were discussing, I spent a fair bit of time trying to figure out a framework for today's conversation, especially given our audience of young founders. Trying to think what are the lessons that we can derive from your journey that can help inform the journeys of some of these early founders. And therefore today, what I'd like to touch upon in our conversation is the early days of Zerodha, the role of technology and design as differentiators in your journey, scaling culture, building ecosystems, and of course, given that this is the Bharat Inclusion Summit, we'll talk about your views on the Bharat market. Yeah, so I'll begin then. I see people still walking in. Should I wait? Huh? Okay, all right. So Nithin, you started Zerodha on August 15th, 2010, to break barriers that traders and investors face in terms of cost, in terms of technology, in terms of support. And this was in a market already populated by giants, like Carva, Motilal Oswal, a whole host of bank-backed brokerage houses. Now, fast forward today, you've completely disrupted the market by introducing zero brokerage, and you are the largest stockbroking firm in the country today. Like Pallavi said, with over 1 crore customers, contributing over 18% of daily trading and investing volumes. So for a 12-year-old, this is a pretty impressive accomplishment. But like with all polished stories, I'm sure if we were to rewind the clock back to your early days, the picture would look decidedly different. There are so many minor details that get glossed over with the passage of time, with the halo of success, whether it has been struggles with architecting your first prototype or trying to figure out your ideal customer profile, evaluating whether you found your product market fit. So my first question would be, can I request you to go back in time and tell us how and when you discovered that you've crossed the PMF hurdle? And is there a way to abstract any learnings from that experience into a framework or playbook that young founders can use?
No, thanks firstly for having me here. So when I think of Zerodha, right, I actually think of it as the day I started trading the markets. So I started trading when I was 17, so that was late 90s. So I think Zerodha is like almost a 25-year-old journey in my head. And a lot of volatility in the journey was thankfully before Zerodha and not after Zerodha in 2010. When we started Zerodha, there was no tech. The only tech I've done is really maybe Excel. So I didn't really have any background of tech. What we were trying to solve when we started the business was the ambitions were very, very small. I used to be very active, like a blogger, and I was very active in online trading and investing community in India. I used to run some of the largest Yahoo Messenger groups, Orkut communities, etc. So Zerodha was an extension to that. I was interacting. It's like in Bangalore. Like in early 2000s. If you had a bunch of friends, we all like rock music. We like having a glass of beer, and then you say, "Oh, one of us will go set up a pub." It was like that. So when you knew people, and you said, "Is there a way to solve for their problem, which is to keep the costs low?" And that's how Zerodha started. And the second problem that we are trying to solve for is that, financial services businesses are very opaque in the way they work. They're very cold to the customer. So we were trying to say, just low cost is not enough, but I need to be with a broker who is open to me about everything, right? I don't have to call 10 people to find an answer to a problem. So transparency and low cost is really were the two pillars on which the business was started. Ambition was 100,000 customers. I still have the first email that I sent to the team saying, if we ever get to 100,000 customers, we have arrived in life. So the thing is, I think we got very lucky that the timing was so bad that it was so right. In the sense, 2010 was really the worst year for stockbroking as an industry ever historically. In terms of revenue, if you go back in the last 30, 40 years. So in 2008, when the markets crashed, there was a lot of volatility. Volatility leads to revenue for brokers. 2010 is when nothing happened, which means brokers were generally losing money. They were kind of moving away from broking to do wealth, real estate, and whatnot, right? So in a way, like going back in time, I think like I keep talking about this whole thin line between being passionate and being foolish, it kind of works out, you're called passionate. But really, if I had to go back in time, I think I was being foolish to actually think of saying, you know what, we need to start a broking business in a time like this. So, like, one of the learnings in my life is whatever people tell you is all bullshit. I mean, it's all about right place, right time, and getting lucky. I mean, you can do a bunch of things to get lucky in life, but that's critical, and you can't really time it, game it, etc. Like a lot of people comes to me and say, Nithin, can you tell me what's the sector I need to be working in? I'm like, dude, if I knew it, I'll probably go do something about it, So, but anyway, so product market fit in my head, because there was no money on the table when we started the business. We started as a partnership firm. The reason we started as a partnership firm is to become a stockbroker in India, the deposit requirement is lesser if you're a partnership firm versus if you're a private limited company. So there was only so much money on the table, so we said we'll become a partnership firm and get a membership. So there was like 25 lakh rupees left on the table, and we had to do up, buy some computers and do up a website, etc. So we didn't take the whole marketing and advertising route, right? So the first 1 year, I spent a lot of my time. I'd worked in a call center for 4 years. I allowed telesales. So a lot of, I think, the first 5,000 customers of Zerodha have spoken to Sachin. And Sachin was me, because I didn't want to cold call customers saying, I'm the CEO of the company. So I used to call myself Sachin. So, and I think the product market fit in my head was when I called and people already knew who we are, right? In the sense, I think one of the big edges, one of the big reasons for the success of Zerodha is really the 10, 12 years that went before Zerodha. Right? Because there was already a community, there was already a lot of work. I was, in my pseudo self, very popular in a lot of these communities. So, like the influencers of today, right? So it's like an influencer back then. So slowly, I was talking about Zerodha in a bunch of these forums, and then, suddenly, I started cold calling, and I'm like, oh, I'm from Zerodha, this new company which is doing low cost, and oh yeah, I was seeing, I was like, damn, dude, we probably arrived in life. September 2011 is when Economic Times wrote a small little article. And this was time when, coming in Economic Times for a broking firm was like you have arrived in life type. So that was, another point where I thought we arrived. But truly product market fit for me was when second year of the business, we made profits. In a sense, there was more money on the table. For me to, I think as a CEO, you're a capital allocator, right? I mean, like a lot of people say, Nithin, why did you stop trading? But I say Zerodha is really the biggest trade of my life, right? Because I'm trading every day. Every day I'm taking a bet on something. So I think the first 1-2 years, I was kind of stuck by everything that I can do. I think 2000, the financial year 11-12 for us was where we made some money as a business in a market which wasn't doing very well. That's when ambitions also grew. So suddenly I was like, 100,000 customers maybe is not being very ambitious. And I also lucked out of my life by meeting Kailash. Kailash is really is as much as a co-founder in the business. He doesn't like to be called one because he came in 2013. And the reason Kailash happened was because I had the financial flexibility of sorts. That muscle was built by being profitable. So everything else, that happened in life was because, the business was profitable. So in a way, one of the qualms I have with the industry, generally is in this chase for valuation. Like, I think people don't understand the freedom profitability brings to the business and to the entrepreneur. Like, it's just crazy, just to be able to not worry about if I need to constantly keep raising money to run this business. I think every, the valuation game is just, I think, people will realize with time. I think the right game is to go chase profitability. And I think the only true product market fit is really when you can make some money.
I hope all the founders here are listening. So you mentioned that there was no tech, when you started, and you mentioned Kailash, so which brings me to my next question, which is that at Zerodha you've built an entire and a very complex financial and stockbroking stack from the ground up. You've built a whole suite of financial software for end users in a very complex, in a very constraining, and a rapidly changing regulatory environment. So at what point did you decide that you needed to build tech in-house? How did you approach the entire build versus buy decision?
I mean, the credit really goes to Kailash. I think we should have had him here for that answer. No, but so 2013 he joined. The first year, we were building stock market games. The first product we built was a hangman, which is like we had all this company names, and we had people had to guess, and one of those things. And 2015, 2014, 2015. 2014, actually, I met someone from Trade Lab here. So it's a startup we partnered with. But then, what had happened was we started the business saying low cost, transparent service, young bunch of guys who can do blogs. But 2013, 14 is when there were two brokers who said exactly the same story, right? And I was like, dude, how do you now differentiate, right? If someone can so easily catch up with you with your offering, then there's a problem. And that's when we decided that, eventually you have to build a moat as a business, otherwise there is no point. Someone will catch up at some point, right? So yeah, the first investment in technology for us was actually investment into this company called Trade Lab, a startup based of IIT Kharagpur. They built us our first desktop trading platform in 2015, early 2015. By the side, Kailash was building on the web and mobile platforms. I think we, in the broking industry, we are probably one of the first to realize that the world will move to web and mobile. It's a no-brainer today, but in 2014, 15, when a lot of our competitors were trying to build desktop trading apps, we were putting all our time and effort towards building web and mobile. But the thing is, what we were building was really the front end, the underlying. So in a broking platform, there are two aspects, right? The mobile app, the web app, but there is an underlying component called the order management system. Think of it this way, right? Think of Porsche car. The Porsche uses a Audi engine, right? So now while you're driving a Porsche, the engine is still an Audi's, right? So like that, so all our product in the first few years was on top of this core order management system of, today it's owned by London Stock Exchange, that core product. So 2015 is when we launched Kite, towards the later half of 2015. 2016, again, I think we lucked out with this whole Aadhaar for online onboarding. Right. Because when that happened, we were there with the right product, right initiatives. Kite was ready. We had our education platform, which is called Varsity, which is doing well. And just there was so much momentum, because of that. So the realization when we have to own our tech was in 2013, 14. But as time went by, and we realized the vendor dependency is slowing you down, right? It was, the more and more we realized that, you have to own this. You cannot depend on outside agencies for your future as a business. Just to give an example, when we started the business in 2010, so to be a broker, you need two things. You need a trading platform, and you need what is called as a back office platform. A back office platform, takes all the trades for the day, makes a ledger, sends out contract notes. The first vendor that we went to for back office platform, he gave it to me for free. That's the reason I went to him. And he said, can you beta test and etc. I said, okay. In my head, I thought, in 1 or 2 years, we'll shift out. It took us 9 years, right? Because every year, it got so entrenched in the business. And as you get bigger, it becomes so much more harder to get rid of this technical debt of sorts, right? I think, for people starting off, the shortcuts that we take right at the start, it'll come back to bite at some point of time. You'd rather just be slow. We got very lucky that we could, surpass this. But I've seen some of our competitors who took the route of shortcuts, who couldn't scale. Because, see, in business, you can go wrong and no customer comes to you, which is okay. It's a risk of running a business. But I think as entrepreneurs, we cannot let it happen is business works, but you're not able to scale well, right? Think of us, we set up, like this business, suddenly 1 million customers turn up tomorrow, and we can't service this 1 million customers, and that's why you went down as a business. I don't think there's no excuse for that, right? And so we've constantly wanted to own every single piece of tech, and it's possible because we have a bunch of monsters on our tech team, So because it's not possible for everyone to do it. I think one of the things about our tech team is every single one of them is a big FOSS proponent. Almost everything that we use at Zerodha is FOSS. I mean, I've recently moved from Windows to Linux. I mean, I never thought in my life that I will ever move out of Windows, right? So nothing at Zerodha is enterprise. Like even the email sending utility is built by the team. Kailash has built this utility called ListMonk. We send, I think, 100 million emails a month. We spend $150 for it, right? And so all of these decisions that we took, hard decisions, slowed us down, but eventually today is paying us off, and the reason I think we have hit that economies of scale is because of all the investment that we did over, from 2015 onwards to owning every single piece of tech. I haven't spoken about this much, but Zerodha, when we were 1 million customers, we were 1,000 people on the team, around 1,100. We are 11 million customers, we are 1,100 members on the team, right? As in, the team size hasn't gone up. The cost of tech, the cost of infra is less than 5% of our revenue, right? As in a sense, and that has also hardly gone up in this whole journey of growing 10x as a business. And the reason I'm saying this is I think as entrepreneurs, I think we need to own all the dependencies that we have. I think, that was a long answer for your short question.
No, thank you. And we will come back to the team size, but I want to stick with technology. So hand in hand with great technology, go intuitive user interfaces. Zerodha is lauded for its simplicity of its user interfaces and innovative trading platforms. This simple interface has also made it possible for you to onboard a lot of first-time investors, thereby furthering financial inclusion. So I wanted to understand what is the design philosophy behind some of these products, and how do you prioritize user experience in your company?
I mean, so we have 1.5, we have 2 designers in the company, I mean, like for a lot of people, like they say, like people assume that we are large. We are like a 35-member tech team. Coin, which is like the largest direct mutual fund platform in the country, we have over 30,000 crores of AUM, is run by 2.5 people on the tech, and there are 3 people on the operations side, right? I think, like a lot of businesses, I came from the same school of thought that you throw people at problems, somehow the problems get solved, right? I mean, I kind of realized very, thanks to Kailash again, like my spiritual guru, so kind of realized early that throwing people at problems doesn't really solve it, it complicates it. So we've been, I think as entrepreneurs, we always are very searching for hope, like before an exam, how I go to a temple and I pray hoping that, somehow, I'll pass the exam. So we hope every time we look at a person saying, oh, he'll come and solve my life problems, right? And it doesn't happen that way, right? As in, it's unlikely that, someone can solve problems for you. So the thing about design at Zerodha is, I think all of us think of Zerodha as what we want in a product as a user. The design isn't just in how the UI and UX, right? I mean, the design is also the fact that we have a no spam policy, right? I mean, I hate it when someone calls me when I don't want to be called, right? And I'm like, I can't call my customer when I don't want this to happen to me, right? So the design extends much beyond just the user interface and experience. Not a single person at Zerodha has ever had a sales target, right? Because I know that in financial services, you set sales targets, people will miss-sell. Right? And then if you miss-sell, you're hurting your customer, right? I mean, we have never, ever in the last 12 years gotten up one day and said, what, my target to grow this year is this much. The philosophy has been, you get up every day, do something better, and wherever the business has to get to, we'll get to, right? I mean, this whole setting goalposts and chasing it down, I mean, like I personally don't believe in that philosophy, because every time you go close to a goalpost, you're going to push it forward. And then you're constantly chasing something you can never reach in your life, right? As in, it's not fun, living that way. That's my philosophy, and the core team, we all think alike, and which is what is very beautiful, and which is why I credit Lux so much in wherever I am, because just to be able to get people who think alike kind of solving for a problem that we are all passionate about. So the way the screen looks, etc., is just an extension of that. The core philosophy is you want to do what is right for the customer, and keeping it simple. The thing about clutter, again, is one of these hope thing, right? As in, if I had 5 buttons, maybe someone will click on something and there'll be activity on my platform, right? As in, but we think about it as it's clutter, right? I mean, I, as a user, don't want to see 5 buttons if, I mean, it is, it's a cognitive burden. As in, getting a phone call is a cognitive burden. A push notification is a cognitive burden. So yeah, it kind of extends into the design as well. I mean, also, the designers are also monsters, in a sense. They've freshers, both of them have grown so well over the last 6-7 years. And another thing for entrepreneurs that I want to kind of share from my experience of Zerodha has been that, like how money in the bank compounds with time, people's skill set also compounds with time, right? What happens is when someone joins a business, it takes a person at least 1.5-2 years to get the overall context of the business, right? Because a person can do really well only if he gets the overall context of the business. We take a lot of effort within Zerodha to make sure every person in the team knows the overall context. No one is put in a silo under a product manager and doesn't know anything outside that. There are no product managers. Almost every discussion is open on an open forum. So everyone knows the overall context of what the business is for. So, and then, I think people really start contributing to a business only after the first 2 years in the business, right? Because they've built some skills, they got the context. Now is when they start contributing. But if you look at the ecosystem, the average tenure of people in a company is around 2 years, right? So you're people are leaving you when they're about to contribute the most for the business, right? I mean, you rather focus on retaining them than try to go hire more people, right? I think like how, money compounds, I think people compound. So the tech team skill sets also has compounded over time. When I say these guys are monsters, almost all of them were freshers, not even pedigree schools. I mean, forget IITs, not even NIITs and like Venkateshwara Engineering College. I'm saying, this is not, but these guys stuck around. You gave a conducive environment for them to experiment and learn, and you let them experiment. You gave them the overall context, and 2, 3, 4, 5 years, they've all turned into great folks, and because they are so, they have grown so much in the business, they are also, they don't want to leave you, right? As in, that's one of the reasons why the attrition is so low.
Thank you, Nithin. So many of our founders here are building for the Bharat market, and there's always this tech versus touch conundrum. When you started Zerodha, stockbroking was a very touch-heavy market, right? With this whole labyrinth of sub-brokers and relationship managers and branches catering to every need of the client. What gave you the confidence to go completely digital? I mean, my dad is 73, and he's been a power Zerodha user for 7 years. And how did you win people's trust, without having any physical touch points?
Yeah, no, so going back in time, I think I was stupid. I mean, 2010, somehow thinking that people will digitally, the thing about 2010 when it started is, we were like 98% discount to a traditional broker, in terms of charges. And the thing is, people think low cost is low quality, automatically, right? Like, if you go to, say, an Amanat cooperative bank and they say, I'll give you fixed deposit 15%, you'll think, dude, this bank is going to run away, right? As in, with my money, right? I mean, you're not going to put money in that bank. The same way, right? As soon as we said we are so low cost, the first question we were asked was, dude, are you going to run away with my money, right? Actually, low cost was, building credibility is much harder when you are trying to deep discount something. So yeah, so in a way, I think I was kind of stupid. But, and I think the stupidity is okay because the ambitions weren't much, right? I mean, we are not trying to build like a large business. I thought a few thousand customers, and Nikhil, my younger brother, was trading the markets. So the plan B was, if Zerodha doesn't work, I get back to trading. I mean, so it was all sorted in that way. So there wasn't, there was no great ambitions. I think if you were to ask me, how did what's the most exciting thing about Zerodha for me is today these 1.1 crore customers have almost 2.5 lakh crores worth of securities with us, right? Which is kind of, incredible that we've been able to reach here in 12 years, because we are probably, in terms of customer assets lying in a depository, I think we are probably just behind ICICI, right? Who probably taken 35, 40 years to get there, right? And that to a lot of corporate money, right? With us, it's all retail money. All the AUM really comes from retail customers. So it's just not having a crore customers, but the fact that a crore customers trust us with 2.5, 3 lakh crores worth of assets in their account is what I still can't believe it. And I'm like, how do? And if I go back in time, I think it's just about getting up and doing every day what's right for the user, right? A lot of people say what is right for the user. They'll do what is right for the user, but it's not even funny how many times we have fights within the office when we have to decide to send a push notification, right? In the last 1 year, we have sent maybe 10 push notifications on the mobile, and some of our competitors send 10 a week, right? Or so. But the fact that, I think the customer knows that we are thinking so much about them was what is helping the customer, that trust building happens that way, right? And it can't be done overnight. And like I said, it's taken us 7, 8 years, before, if I were to think 2010 when we started, really our business started growing only in 2017, 18. So it took us 7, 8 years of constantly getting up every day and doing what is right for the customer. It's so easy for us to generate revenue. If I sent one notification on our app saying buy this stock, right? It'll lead to a few million trades and I don't know how many crore rupees in revenue. But we have resisted it, right? Because we know that it's not right for the customer. I cannot advise a customer without knowing who the customer is, right? And given the fact that our competition is doing all these random things, it's easier for us to stand out, right? If we had 2, 3 other folks who are thinking like us, doing stuff like that, I think it would have been harder to stand out. So in a way, we are lucky that our competition is doing whatever they're doing, and so it's easier for, even this whole, I was never active on social media, as Nithin, I was managing Zerodha's account, but 2019, 20 onwards, I became active and started talking and writing, is because, in a way, it's also about building, the trust, credibility, etc. So yeah, it's taken a while, but I would say, just doing constantly what is right for the user is really, I think, the right way, to do. When I say constantly right for the user, like in a real sense, and not in a way someone would put it on a presentation and pitch it to a VC of sorts.
So we'll move from users to now people, because they are really what make or break a company. And you may have answered my question partially already, but I do want to put out the stats out there because frankly, I'm complete in awe of what I've learned. So you've had amazing success with people. Like you said, 1,100 strong, but you've hardly lost maybe 10 over the past decade. When most unicorns have tech teams the size of a mini army regiment, you still have only about 30, 35 people. And when most tech workers are hopping from job to job in search of higher paychecks, you've still managed to retain a bulk of them. What is your secret sauce?
Yeah. No, so the thing is, we are 1,100, out of which I think 900 is support. 35 is doing 35 tech. I have a team of around 30 people who are helping me, run the business. So you can call it as a product team, but it's really not a product team because no one's reporting into them. So in the core team, which is the 100, 150, the most important for the business, yeah, we've hardly lost anyone there. The reason for that, I think, is because we put a lot of effort in helping them grow. Most of these people are freshers. We were maybe at worst, maybe the second job. We've been very, the way we are talking about keeping customer at the core, within the organization, we think of doing whatever is right for the team member. At the end of the day, the business is only strong as strong as the team, right? As in, there's no two ways about it. Stuff. I don't know. I don't think early stage startup should do it, but because we could do it, we have killed all work chats after 6 p.m. We don't do any work on weekends. We run. I'm extremely conscious about the health of everyone on the team. We run this like a crazy challenge right now. Where people set their health goals, and you reach there. We give them I mean, I'm saying just this can't be enough, right? But what I'm saying is that people who joined us, we've given them, firstly, I think, what do we stand for as a business? What is the mission vision? The thing has changed over many years. Today, I think the way we think about Zerodha is that we exist because we need to help customers do better with their money. If you're not solving for it, then there's no point of existing as a business, right? I mean, and to be honest, I think we have not done a great job at it. I mean, we've built great platforms, but has it actually led to people doing better with their money? Maybe not. I mean, so it's doubtful, right? As in, so just to have this open conversation with people, saying, our mission is this, but maybe we're not doing it well. Recently we were having a team talk where I was, a bunch of us are talking, like, dude, we've been doing this for 12 years. What if tomorrow morning I get up and say I'm bored of this, right? What happens to the business? Or what if you feel like this, right? As in, what is the plan, right? I mean, like, anyone can get up any day and feel a little bored and want to do something else in life, right? As in, and just to be able to have that conversation openly, I don't know how many organizations can do it, right? As in, so I think all of that together is not having goalposts, not putting too much pressure. So I think it's a different philosophical way of building a business. Businesses can be built in many ways. One of the reasons I think we come out and talk about how we build Zerodha is to just let people know that, yes, you can also build it this way. Right? This whole, as a businessman, you have to be this guy, which we have seen in Wall Street, right? Always trying to squeeze the last buck out of the, out of the customer, or squeeze the juice out of your employees. I mean, you don't have to do it. I mean, you can build business in a fun, enjoyable way as well, and potentially build a large business too. So because otherwise, generally, entrepreneurs, the way a lot of stories have been told is that you have to be like this ruthless person who goes and tries to do whatever to be successful in life, right? As in, yes, I mean. So it's I think this is why it's a different philosophical way of running the business, and it's worked out for us well till now.
So I want to work for Zerodha. I'm going to meet you with my resume outside. But building on that, Mr. Shamit Ghosh, who's the founder of Ujjivan Small Finance Bank, he's also on the advisory board of the Bharat Inclusion Initiative. He once told us that culture, values, mission, and purpose is the DNA of the organization, and it is what the founders bring in. So from 4 to 1100, how did you build a culture that scaled?
I would say maybe 4 to 400, because what happened was the first 400 people, I think I hired personally, right? And the 400 to 1100, outside the core, operations and core teams, I was not really involved. So there potentially could have been some misalignment, because there has been attrition in that 400 to 1,000. I mean, a lot of the support people joining us with a certain expectations, etc. I think, I think one of the reasons when I used to trade the markets, I've blown up a few times, and my learning with all the blowing up was that at all times you need to kind of, you should stop chasing money, and you should kind of at all times factor in the worst case outcome. So the odds of you being rational improves. So I'm constantly underselling everything to myself and to everyone around me, right? So usually, other days someone came to me and said, he wants to join. If you want to join, my first thing would be, we are at the top of a bull market. A stockbroking firm looks very hot at the top of a bull market, but 10% down Nifty, and we may not be that hot. So I'm constantly underselling before we hire anyone, right? Because the problem is when people join you with the wrong expectation, the chance of them getting disappointed improves. Not a single person at Zerodha was hired offering stock options, or saying we'll create wealth, or we're solving this this problem that will change the planet. I mean, we didn't say any of it. We were just saying whatever it is, maybe 20% lesser, and see if he is still interested to join you. Right, and so I think it's about setting the expectations right, right at the start, and then if people really join you for the expectation set and continue to, one of the things I've seen in the startup ecosystem is that everyone is constantly overselling, right? Because overselling is what has helped people raise funds. So people have thought that overselling is a cool thing to do, right? As in, I have this, some of these fintech startups come to me and say, Nithin, there are 40 crore Indians who can invest in the market. I'm like, dude, what are you smoking? I'm like, like, you know, like you can't be, you can't be telling me this, you know. So, but the thing is, if you say that India is a 40 crore, you know, target market for your investing app, and then you go sell the same thing to your team, you're setting the wrong expectations amongst everyone else, right? You know, and you know, you're setting wrong expectation in the investor, you're setting a wrong expectation in your team, and then and there are so many disappointments. And if you look at, you know, all relationships that break, including people quitting teams, is when people get disappointed, right? And disappointments usually happen when you set the wrong expectations. So, yeah. So I think you know, the key here, you know, is to just set the right expectations. And I think I've undersold, you know, Zerodha as an opportunity to everyone at Zerodha. And that me underselling has, I think, you know, in a way worked out.
So I'm taking away is undersell and over-deliver. Good, that's a good lesson. So Zerodha started off as a trading platform, and now we've seen you move towards more of an ecosystem approach. Just like UPI has enabled the digital payments ecosystem, we feel like Zerodha is enabling the capital markets ecosystem with initiatives like the Rain Matter Fund. And like I told, we have one company in common, FinShots, which is enabling the capital market stack, and Varsity, which is enabling education of capital markets. So at what point did you decide that you want to move from a product-centric to more of a platform ecosystem approach, and how did you know the time was right?
I mean, today it looks like it was all planned, but it wasn't, you know. I mean, it was, you know, we were just doing what felt right at that point of time. So in 2013, you know, Karthik and I have been, you know, when I was a sub-broker, Karthik was a customer, so I knew him for a while. And, you know, we were sitting and saying, you know what, while I was writing a lot of blogs, there was no structured content around capital markets. And we said, you know, it's just, again, serendipity of sorts. You know, he had finished his, you know, MBA in Europe somewhere, and he was coming back to India. And I said, dude, why don't we do this together? And he agreed, you know, and that's how Varsity is built by one person. Wow. You know, so like all the more, Varsity is such a large initiative that I think I've built the, I mean, I've written the taxation module on Varsity, but everything else has been actually built by Karthik alone. I think we hired 2 people only now after 8 years of Varsity of sorts. And so yeah, so it felt like a right thing to do in 2013. When in 2016, when we launched Kite, one of the discussions we had, you know, within the business is that what we are trying to build, which is a trading platform, can only solve for people who have an intent to trade or invest. Like, you know, if you have an intent to buy or sell a stock, we have a platform for you. But the people who have intent are maybe just like 0.5% of India's population, right? As in, majority of the India, you know, who will potentially invest don't have an intent to invest. You know, what do you offer them, right? And the question was, do you want to attempt all these moonshots, or do you want to partner and collaborate? So we decided that we need to partner and collaborate. Maybe also because we didn't have the, you know, like, you know, we didn't want to get into this route of raising a lot of money and, you know, hiring large teams. So that's when we first met Small Case, you know, who was the first startup. So we told Small Case that, you know, we've done the dirty job of, actually think of neobanks, right, today. Like, you know, how a neobank can build on top of a banking platform and kind of offer a user experience. So we were like a banking as a service platform back in 2016. So we were probably one of the first in the world to offer this, a suite of APIs that allows us to come, for the startups to come build on top of us. But what was most unique about what we did was we said, as a financial services product for anyone building, you know, they'll probably understand, it's really hard to get someone to save money with you, because the credibility will take you at least 3 or 5 years. I mean, no one's going to trust. I mean, I keep giving this example that, you know, if I go to dogfeed.in, I'll probably pay 500 rupees and buy dog food, you know, for the next 1 month. But if it is saveforlife.com, I won't go put 500 rupees in that. Why? Because, you know, as soon as it is saving, I'm thinking, will this platform exist for the next 5, 10 years? Right? It's really, really hard. So what we told this startup is that we will bring you customers, right? So, you know, you build a good product, I will showcase you to our customers and get you the first 10,000 customers who can validate your product and etc. So, which is, I think, you know, I can't think of any other platform anywhere in the world who's done this. which is because usually when a business does it, right, the incentive is for the business. If one of the banks does a neobank partnership, the bank is doing it because he thinks neobank is going to bring him new customers. He's not doing it saying, I will share my existing customers because my customers will benefit out of this neobank, right? So, but our thinking was that, and which, I mean, today there are like 15, 20 startups who are building niche platforms on top of us. And we never ring-fence them, right? We never, each of the startup who came to us, we never said, you need to be exclusive to us. Right? Because I knew that if I say something like, you need to be exclusive to us, maybe good founders won't come build such a business, right? Because why would any founder build a business where you're tagged into only one startup, right? So it felt like the commonsensical right thing to do, and it wasn't like a pre-planned strategy or, like that we had. Once one partnership went well, and also this was a time when fintech wasn't hot, 2016. Right. So a lot of these startups who came to us said, we also need some capital. We thought, if we are on the cap table, we'll also have better control on the product because we are showcasing this product. So that's when we started investing in these startups as well, So, so I mean, that's how the Rain Matter, the fund has evolved. I mean, in my head, I think of it as a CSR initiative, So I mean, like we have never once ever asked any of these startups, what has happened to capital, how much return on our money, etc. Our question to them always is, how many people are you impacting, and is there a way for us to impact more people, right? And anytime anyone does anything stupid on their platforms, which is to trigger activity, etc. That's when we get bothered. I mean, we never So it's the kind of again, it's a philosophical question. We have said that this associate, you can't, like in my head, you can't do impact and chase profit at the same time. Is how I think about when we are investing through Rain Matter Fintech. But Nikhil, my younger brother, he manages all our money and all our where we have no attachment to investment, public market investment he manages, So, and he's done quite well as well there, So there we don't care. We are not caring about impact. You're buying a stock thinking it'll go up. You sell it and you try to make a buck out of it. But all the startup investment for us has been more for impact.
Sure. So this is the Bharat Inclusion Summit, and so we must get your views on the Bharat market. Do you believe that it's possible to build a large, viable financial services business for this market? And by Bharat, I mean, non-digital native, maybe not earning a fixed income, 50 to 60,000 in household income.
No, I think it's hard to build a savings and investing product. So it's to be for people to be able to save and invest, they need to have money on the table at the end of the month. So maybe not like a proper savings investing product, but maybe an insurance product, because I think everyone needs, with the healthcare costs going up, I think there's a large opportunity around healthcare and insurance. I think, I mean, of course, a lot of people must be building for lending products for that market. I mean, makes sense. But like a question, I was asking you and Pramod before, maybe there's, I don't know if everyone should be given money to buy, if credit should be available so easily for consumption behavior in the Bharat market. I mean, of course, as long as it's helping people up the quality of their lives and which leads to generating more income, absolutely makes sense. So I think it's going to be hard in the savings and investing space to be able to kind of build for that market unless India becomes inclusively wealthy and not just the top 4 or 5% of the country doing well. And that's where like when we get up as a business today, like we are. Thing is, when you start off as a business very early, you have a money goal in your mind, right? So there is like a driving force saying, oh, I need to make this much money. But after a point, you're like, dude, I mean, once you made the money, then you're like, dude, what next, right? You need something to get up to every day and say, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing, right? And for us, the way we think about Zerodha right now is that I think for India to do well inclusively, you need entrepreneurship. And you need Indians funding these entrepreneurs. This can't be some foreign capital coming in all the time and taking away all the upside, right? You need Indians to be able to taking risk and investing into Indian entrepreneurs. And we believe, with whatever we're doing as Zerodha, we have an ability to nudge the top 3, 4, 5% of the country to think about supporting local entrepreneurship. And if those local entrepreneurship does well, then you have a market which can potentially have a financial product that you can sell to. So yeah, I mean, this won't get solved in 1 to 3 years, but I mean, as a long-term goal, I mean, this is why I get up every day and get excited about Zerodha.
Another reason for us to talk after the talk. But now for a more personal question, if I may. So in the work that you do, I'm sure there are many difficult moments, difficult days, highs and lows. Are there any personal mantras or everyday habits that keep you going when the going gets tough?
I mean, no, I think I love my sports. I mean, I play basketball, I play soccer, because I can proper de-stress, because everything else I do, if I'm stressed, I'm thinking about it. So playing a sport for me is really like a de-stressor. I love music, so I play a couple of instruments, so that helps me de-stress. But there is no easy answer. I think I mean, everyone has to discover this for themselves, what works.
So we are running a little bit behind time. How much time do you have? Can we take a few questions from the audience? Yeah, the floor is yours, guys.
Hi. Thank you. That was really great to hear, and what you've accomplished is amazing, obviously. But I had a question about your focus on climate, especially within Rainmatter Capital. And what I wanted to understand is, for climate, are you looking at it as ecosystem building? Specifically, are you thinking about it in terms of development or a for-profit VC model?
Thanks for that. Yeah, so actually Rainmatter Climate, was like I said, my spiritual guru Kailash is the reason, it got started. We kept, I think success also brings obligation, right? As in beyond a point, we've been lucky to be here. So what are you doing about it? As in, it brings an obligation, and that's how we set up the foundation in 2020. So we said, there were problems that are close to our heart, which was one is around creation of livelihood, and second was, of course, climate. And we believe that there are intersections between these two in India, as in, and Samir, who heads the foundation. So the first thing we did when we thought about the foundation was, we did the easiest thing when people do when they think about climate, which is saying, go restore a piece of land, right? So we bought a, like a 100-acre piece of land near Krishnagiri, and adjoining a forest. We said, someone was trying to make a villa project there. We said, dude, it can't happen. And, we need to, it was adjoining a forest. We said, we'll take that piece of land and restore. Samir, who heads the foundation, was running a campsite in that place. And, me and him hit off, me, Kailash, him hit off. And we started talking about how we are thinking about life. And yeah, Samir joined, and he's leading the foundation. So there are two things that we're doing. One is there's a for-profit side, but the way we have structured the for-profit is that any upside goes back to the foundation, right? So there is no for-profit investment that we're doing saying, we need to make a buck out of it. We're not taking any outside capital, so it's our own capital, so the risk-taking appetite is much higher. So we are kind of trying to chase moonshots, which people may not be able to do it, right? As in, like even on the non-profit side, a lot of policy making, because usually what happens is a lot of, like a CSR money, etc., is constantly chasing something which is measurable immediately. Right? How many trees you planted, how many lakes you desilted. But these are really of no use if, if someone's going to go and chop another piece of, land, right? As in, so can you kind of, and that requires a different kind of capital, and so yeah, so we're thinking about all of this, but no VC kind of model for sure, Anas.
Sir, first of all, I just wanted to say you're my role model, sir. You've inspired me a lot, the way you built your business and the way you live your life. It's so inspirational. So first, my question is, if Zerodha would have started today, would it be as successful as it is today, after 5 to 6 years?
No, I don't think so. No. Absolutely no. As in, I keep talking about it, as in, a lot of the reason for our philosophy as a business is because we didn't raise venture capital. And I think it's impossible to build a business today without raising venture capital. And unless, if your dad is Ambani or whatever, but I'm saying, because it's very hard to follow that philosophy if you've raised money from someone and now you're obligated to grow that money at a certain space. I can't then say, I'll not have goalposts, I won't think about, generating capital, from acquiring customers, etc. So yeah, so I don't think it's possible.
So, let's say if you would have started today, would you have raised money?
I mean, I don't think there would have been a way to start a business today without raising money, right? Because I think one of the big qualms I have about the startup ecosystem in India today is just how hard it has become for a founder to start a business, right? In 2010, I could go from an idea to starting a business with 1.25 crores, out of which 90 lakhs went to as an exchange deposit, right? So I could actually really start the business only with 25 lakh rupees. Like today, I mean, impossible. I mean, I'd spend I think 40,000 rupees to do a website. I don't think today you can build a website at 40,000 rupees. So it's just the cost, the road barrier, the barrier to build a business has become so high for startups today. So, if a person like me wants to hire a tech guy, or if you're a non-tech guy, you need some tech guy. I mean, if you have to spend 30, 40 lakhs a year salary, I mean, how will you do it without raising capital? It's almost impossible, So, which is a problem, which is, I don't know what's the right answer to that.
So, I just wanted to ask, out of my curiosity, has Sony TV ever called you to be the shark in the Shark Tank?
I mean, we had spoken about it, but I don't think I would have done justice to that role in us.
Hi, this is Mitesh here, Nikhil. This is actually Mitesh from Miss Call Pay. We are into UPI-based payments over voice. One of the biggest question to the biggest wealth creator in the country, actually, that's you and Zerodha. Thanks for creating such a massive wealth for Indians, actually. How at Bharat Inclusion, how do we create wealth at the bottom of the pyramid? Because payments is one thing, or credit is one thing, but actual thing that will uplift Bharat is creating wealth. And creating wealth for such a magnanimous population is the only thing that can uplift the entire economy to a different level.
Yeah, I mean, and that's really the problem to solve. And like I was saying earlier, I think the answer really lies in creating as many entrepreneurs as possible. I doubt, any government program alone can do it. So I think the onus is on, like folks like us, CIE, and all of us to go and do whatever to get as many entrepreneurs at the grassroots level. And I mean, I don't think there's any other way to be able to do this.
Hi, hey Nithin. So you said something really interesting about not setting goalposts. So if you don't set goalposts, how do you decide what to work on and how to prioritize? And just a bit of trivia, what are the returns since inception for the average Zerodha user?
Yeah, so no, when I said goalposts, I was talking more in terms of revenue and sales. I mean, just getting up and saying, I want 100,000 customers next month. What is it? Is it magic? No, I mean, like, how will you get to that, right? As in, so like that, But in terms of product, we do, I mean, like I said, right now the biggest, like right on top of my list of things to do is to say that, all the things that we can do on the platform that will help people do better with their money, right? As in, and what we've realized is, the best opportunity is when the customer is actually transacting. Like think of it, I give this example. Think of one of the e-commerce apps. A person who's earning 30,000 rupees is wanting to buy a 2 lakh rupee iPhone. Today the platform will say, oh, you don't have the money, I'll give you. Right? But what if the platform could say, dude, what are you smoking? Right? I mean, you should be buying an Android phone or, for like 15,000 rupees. What are you spending 2 lakh rupees? I mean, which is essentially what we are trying to attempt on Zerodha, right? As in, if you're trying to buy a penny stock at Zerodha, we actually scare the shit out of the customer. We say, do you know there are these random spam messages going around? Do you know this company has zero value to it? As in, why are you buying it, right? And like, again, this philosophy is only possible because we don't have this venture capital obligation, right? It would have been very hard to be able to say no to business if you had everyone trying to, maximize capital, the return on capital in the business. Sorry, what was the other one?
What's the
average
average return?
return. We don't, I mean, another crazy thing about Zerodha is that we have no data team. I know I got trolled for saying stuff like this, as in, because we believe that, if you start analyzing data, then you'll get triggered to do some stupidity, so, and, so we've said, just, don't bother about it.
Hi Nithin. So a lot of fintechs have started foraying outside of India. Have you ever thought about going global? And if not, and if you plan not to, then what were the challenges you see? And this is the idea.
Yeah, I went and spent some time in New York in 2019. Like a bunch of people said, Nithin, you can cut copy paste. US is the mother of all markets. Why don't you go there? 3 months. I don't know, 100 hours with lawyers. I spent a lot of money. I'm like, I didn't get answers to 10 questions of mine. I said, dude, this is not happening. I need to go back to India. And no, the thing is, in a regulated business, there is no cut, copy, paste. Every country is different. Even Varsity, which is our education initiative, there was no way to replicate it there. It had to be rewritten, right? So there is no cut, copy, paste in a regulated space. And in my head, India is at the center of the planet right now. I mean, I rather focus where the odds of returns are much higher than try to do it just for a show shot types. So yeah, I spent 3 months on it, but I learned it in 3 months that it's probably not a good idea. Yes.
Hi Nikhil. Sorry, maybe the last question. Yeah, so thanks for the insightful session. I think my question is more macro. So India has largely been a savings country, and I think last 30 years out of 20 years have been all banking products, right? FDs, RDs. Now India is moving towards capital market, financial inclusion program, right? US is at 35% and China may be at 27%. But we've seen that in India, 10 crore demat accounts are there, but 3.5, almost 3 crores are active. So at large scale population, do you see that what global markets or Western markets have hit in terms of products on financial wealth, India may do differently in terms of maybe debt or treasury bonds, or so how do you see products getting scaled? Maybe it's the capital markets or other products?
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know how many brokers will say it. I think equity isn't even the right product for India. Like what we sell as a business is probably what should be sold only to 1% of India. Right? Because I think the right stepping stone for Indians is really a fixed income product, like something which is better than fixed deposit, but lesser riskier than stocks, So one of the things that the regulator has done over the last 2-3 months has brought in some clarity around how you can sell some of these fixed income instruments. So now that the clarity is there, I think there'll be more fixed income products being built. The thing about, which I said earlier, which is, right now we're at top of the bull market, right? I mean, somewhere near the top, right? As in, and the activity is so high because we are somewhere near the top. And I've seen these cycles 3 times in my career, in the late 90s, in 2007. In 2007, broking was so hot, right? In 2009, no one cared about it, right? So I keep setting these expectations everywhere, saying, dude, I know I'm getting invited now, but let's just wait, let's see what happens to Nifty in like 1 year, and then we'll know, how people look up as a business. So the issue is that equity market brings a lot of volatility in terms of participation itself. Even on our platform, every time the market, the indices draw down by like 10 to 15%, the activity drops 30 to 40%, right? So, and we're sitting ducks there. I mean, we can't do anything. The behavior of people is as soon as they see a notional loss, they say, let's wait and watch, right? As in, and maybe it's the right thing to do, and we don't want to get in there and start advising people to do something, because when markets trend up or down, you don't know when it stops trending. Right, as in there is no science behind this, right? As in, so I think the right way to approach this would be to think of building a product which is right for the country, and this is something that we are thinking about at Zerodha as well, quite a bit, which is to kind of offer the right kind of fixed income products. So introduce a little bit of risk. So once a customer, saves, say, a 50,000 rupee, a lakh rupees, whatever, then say, what, maybe you should have 10% exposure to equity. So, and it's not something you can do over 3 months, 6 months, etc. This is like you have to think of a customer as, a 10, 20-year project and say, can we introduce risk slowly and etc. So I think one thing I'm super excited about is also, it's an opportunity here is around the account aggregator framework, right? Now that, because in India, for 1.5 crore, 150 crore Indians, there are 1,000 advisors, which is ridiculous. As in, 1,000 advisors, each advisor can probably cater to 300 customers. So you're essentially saying, an advisory ecosystem which can cater to only between 3 to 5 lakh customers for a population, okay, forget 150 crores, even if you think 6 crore Indians who file income tax returns, there isn't enough advisory, and the problem today was that advisors didn't have access to data, which account aggregators today are solving for. So I think the next big potential opportunity in India is around advisory ecosystem, because you'll be able to capture data very easily from the customer.
Got it. And just out of curiosity, why Kite as a name for the app?
No, I mean, why Kite? Yeah, light. I think it was light and flies, and I mean, yeah, it was. It's just.
Hey, hi Nithin. So my question to you is, I think you previously mentioned that Zerodha's mission is to sort of empower people to do better with their money, right? That's a broad problem statement to work on. So I just want to know what's the road ahead for Zerodha, like what's your strategy, what have you planned out, and how is the team at Zerodha sort of aligned to get closer to this mission statement which you mentioned?
Yeah, I mean, see, alignment to mission, I mean, anyone with decent common sense has to get aligned to it, right? As in the sense, I mean, what is the point of existing as a wealth platform or a trading platform if you don't help your customers do better with the money? I mean, alignment is not an issue. How we are trying to solve for it, like I said earlier, this whole, can we tell people before they make mistakes that it potentially is a mistake? Now, if, and not be paternalistic about it, as in don't disallow people from making mistake. But if people do end up making mistake, can you then tell them the impact of what that mistake had? Like for example, say you want to buy a penny stock and the platform says, dude, what are you smoking? But you says, dude, I don't care. You buy it. Can I in 3 months tell you what is a P&L every time you have broken a very fundamental money rule? The thing about trading is, a lot of people think there is this fancy strategy that can help you make money in the markets, right? There's nothing. The only thing that can really make you money is money management. Like, there are 4 or 5 very basic money management principles. If you do it well and you get lucky, you can make some money in the markets, right? Which is, diversify, which is don't go against the trend, think of disposition bias, don't average down and stuff like that. So we are saying, can we get these 5, 6 very basic fundamental money management rules within the app and try to nudge the customer away from doing it? Like that case where I said, if one of these e-commerce apps said, why are you trying to buy this phone? It's probably not a right idea to buy it versus trying to enable to buy the phone, right? So it's a hard problem to solve, but we are very excited about solving it because of the success of this penny stock nudge that we had. The first nudge we had, which is the simplest one to incorporate, was around penny stocks. And we've seen that the penny stock trading volumes as a percentage of our equity volumes at Zerodha is down 90% after that, right? So we know that there is power in technology, in the sense, you can actually, these nudges can potentially work and help people do better. Yeah, I mean, that's really, the plan. Thanks.
Okay, his last question. His hand went up many times.
I know who it is.
Hi Nithin. So it's nothing special. It's more about making cycling inclusive in our roads, right? So I'm Murli from Namanima Cycle Foundation, and most of you might not know that Nithin is also a cyclist. Used to cycle in Coorg in 2014-15. So to end this session, I would like to ask, how do we make cycling more inclusive in companies, in streets, so that Bharat becomes cycling?
I knew when you raise hand that you're gonna pedal the pedal, So yeah, I used to love cycling until the roads in Bangalore became too hard to cycle on, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know the answer, but yeah, if someone else has an answer, maybe you can. I mean, I would love to have come here cycling and gone back cycling, without all the smoke and dirt on my face.
So before we draw the session to a close, a bonus 2-minute only lightning round for you. You just have to fill in the blanks. So I'm inspired by?
Bjorn Chouinard.
I'm most proud about?
Oh, Jesus, okay. Zerodha.
I'm happiest when?
Playing a sport.
The best leadership advice I've ever received.
I mean, I haven't really received any, but I think just don't chase, I think, money and things like that. I mean, I don't know, I'm just making it up.
Thank you for being candid. And my favorite song is?
Depending on what the booze is. But no, just kidding. I think in Hindi, Zindagi Kaisi Hai Peheli Hai, and in English, maybe Breathe by Pink Floyd is.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure, Nithin, to have this conversation with you. And folks, it's been said that sitting is the new smoking. I know you subscribe to that philosophy. So may I please request everyone to stand up for 15 seconds and thank Nithin for being with us today.